Also, Israel says death of activist was an accident. Her family's asking for a U.S. investigation. By the way, it's been a week since this happened, and the Biden administration has still not reached out to the family. I, on the other hand, have. I will be having Aysenur Ezgi's sister on the broadcast on Monday to talk to her about the assassination of her sister. Her family held a funeral in Turkey, I believe, yesterday. Hundreds attended the funeral of the Turkish-American citizen with Turkish background, with Turkish origin, the activist who was in the West Bank who got shot in the head by an Israeli sniper.
Friends and family held the funeral for a Turkish-American activist killed by the IDF during a protest in the West Bank. Aysenur Eygi was shot during a weekly protest against an Israel settlement near the Palestinian village of Beita. She was 26 years old. Israel says her killing was a tragic accident, but there are growing calls for an independent investigation, including from lawmakers in Washington state, where she recently graduated from college. Senator Patty Murray and Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal wrote in their letter, "We fear that if this pattern of impunity does not end with Ms. Eygi, it will only continue to escalate. It is imperative that the United States take concrete and decisive action to better protect American citizens." Joining me now is Juliet Majid. Aysenur was a close friend of hers, and they spoke right before she traveled to the West Bank. Juliet, thank you for being with me, and our condolences for the loss of your friend. I know you're also the designated spokesperson for the family. Let me read for you something that the White House released, a statement from the president this week. The U.S. government has had full access to Israel's preliminary investigation and expects continued access as the investigation continues so that we can have confidence in the results. What is the family's confidence?
Sorry, I just got here. Don't be mad. Sounds callous, but why has this made the news? Why has it made the news that an American college student was assassinated by Israeli snipers for the crime of protesting the Israeli occupation in the West Bank, a territory that Israel illegally occupies? Like, what do you mean? This is supposedly the most moral military. This is supposedly the most moral military in the most moral democracy that is our ally, using American weapons, American munitions, American bombs, and American help, like American political and social capital, to go and fucking assassinate an American citizen. It's not the first American, though, right? No, it's not. What kind of a fucking question is this?
In this investigation?
Well, so the family has released.
How would you describe the situation to a normie? I would describe it as an American college student, recently graduated college, flew to the West Bank to engage in humanitarian aid, and our ally that relies on an endless taxpayer-funded sequence of weapons transfers went and assassinated her. Okay, they sniped her they shot her in the head, an American citizen. It's not a very complicated story. An American humanitarian activist was shot in the head by an American proxy's military force that is illegally occupying foreign territory that it should not be on top of ever.
Statements on social media, so I can't necessarily speak exactly for them, but I know that I feel like I don't have confidence in Israel investigating their own military. I want this US-led independent investigation for Aysenur, which the family has continuously asked for over a week. It's been over a week. It's been over 7 days, and we haven't gotten this independent investigation. I think it's shameful that President Biden released this statement and called it an accident without having that investigation.
I think the fact that this isn't being covered endlessly every single day on every single Western outlet is alarming. I think the real confusing part for you, chatter, should be, how the fuck do we stop talking about the World Central Kitchen bombings that happened in Gaza? This is an escalation from that point. Imagine if Russia did this. Okay? You don't have to imagine. Russia blows up a school in Ukraine and there's adequate coverage on it. People immediately say, that's wrong. I can't believe they did that. And they should say that, by the way. Of course, it's perfectly valid to say that. Can you imagine a Russian sniper, okay, is, let's say Russia has permanently, like, Russian snipers go in to not even an active war zone, by the way, an area like, let's say Crimea, okay? Russian snipers are in Crimea and they just shoot an American humanitarian aid worker in Crimea in the fucking head. Do you think Biden would say, well, Russia investigated it and found no wrongdoing and said it was a fucking accident? Do you think that Biden would come out and be like, oopsie, Russia made a mistake? Do you think that that's how that would go? Do you think that that's what, like, people will be like, all right, I guess, well, Putin said, oops. That's fine then.
And so you would be have greater confidence in a U.S.-led investigation. That's the independent investigation, the FBI, that you would like to see.
I would like to see an investigation that's independent of the investigation that Israel has conducted of its own military.
Do you trust the U.S. to do it?
I hope I can trust the U.S. to do it. Aysenur was an American citizen, a very staunch U.S. activist, human rights activist here in the United States and in the Seattle area. I really hope that I can trust the U.S. to be able to conduct this investigation, because that is what she deserves and it's what her family deserves for justice.
The president says preliminary investigation indicates that it was the result of a tragic error resulting from unnecessary escalation. That Aysenur was hit indirectly and unintentionally by IDF fire. How much information, if any, has been shared with the family, do you know of?
By the way, Aysenur Ezgi, there was an autopsy conducted on her, and the autopsy report indicates, according to 3 forensic experts that reviewed the dossier on slain Turkish-American activists, say the bullet did not appear to have ricocheted off the ground as Israel said. So, of course, they fucking lied about it, too. Just so you know. She was directly shot in the head and killed by Israeli snipers in the occupied West Bank. Witnesses directly around her said that there wasn't even any sort of activity occurring in the area where she was shot. It was quiet, and then one shot was heard, according to Jonathan Pollock, another activist that was there. She was executed. She was shot in the head by an Israeli sniper. Israel lied about it. We know that they would lie about it because they did this when they shot and killed Shireen Abu Akleh, who also was an American citizen as well, a Palestinian American, a Christian Palestinian American, who was a very famous journalist in the region for Al Jazeera. She clearly had a press vest on that clearly indicated that she was a member of the press. She had a press helmet on. They shot her in the neck. They assassinated her. And then they lied and said it must have been the Palestinians that shot her. Then investigations were conducted, and they found, obviously, through visual forensics, that the Palestinian militants that are in Jenin were nowhere near Shireen Abu Akleh. They had lied about it. Okay? And then Israel, months later, turned around and said, well, I guess it was, I don't know. I guess it was an accident. No accountability whatsoever. Okay?
Information that I know is what is available to everybody else through the public statements at this time. Obviously, it feels so heart-wrenching and heartbreaking to know that she was killed in the West Bank, upholding a long-standing tradition of being a peaceful, independent international observer. And it's incredibly hard to even think that we don't have her anymore and her life was taken by the Israeli military.
Aysenur was killed, as I said, in the West Bank, not Gaza, but in the West Bank. Palestinian Ministry of Health in Ramallah reports that close to 700 people have been killed in the West Bank. Let me get your reaction to what we heard from Secretary of State Antony Blinken about what's happening in the West Bank.
No one should be shot and killed for attending a protest. No one should have to put their life at risk just for freely expressing their views. And now we have the second American citizen killed at the hands of Israeli security forces. It's not acceptable. It has to change.
What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do about it? If only you had some power over Israel, you know what I mean? As, the American state.
Change.
Yeah. Something has to change. In terms of like our weapons transfers, that's not going to change. We have to send them more weapons. Israel has a right to defend itself. Israel has a right to defend itself. Israel has a right to continue conducting its genocide. It has to do it. It has to keep doing it. Something needs to change. We will not change it. This doesn't make any sense, right? Kaya, no. This doesn't make any sense at all. I thought words had meaning, you know? If something is unacceptable and something needs to change and you have the power to change it, you should, right? But you won't. We all know you won't. Israel could kill American active duty service members, okay? And America would still not do anything. They would not bat an eye. They could kill hundreds of American citizens and America would still not bat an eye.
And
I hope you understand that. Because Israel's existence as it stands is significantly more important to the American State Department interest as it currently is. That's just the incorrect math equation that they have locked themselves into. But as it stands currently, there are those who are very powerful people in the American State Department who truly believe, for parts ideological zealotry and parts strategic interest, that Israel has to continue behaving in exactly the ways that it's behaving and that there's nothing that we can do about it. No, it's not some fucking blood cabal chatter. It's not. It's just ideological zealotry. It is ideological zealotry paired up with imperialism. Why are you still... Why are you barking? Stop growling.
We'll be making that clear to the senior-most members of the Israeli government.
And what's your reaction to what you heard there?
If that's what Secretary Blinken has to say, then why hasn't there been an investigation? Why aren't we seeing justice for Aysenur? Her funeral was today. So they want to take these steps, but where are they coming from? What are they doing? We just want to be able to have justice for our friend, for our loved one. We want justice for those she loved most, for her family. So I really hope that the U.S. government does something, that they have an investigation, an independent one, and not just rely on the Israeli military to investigate themselves and accept those findings. She deserves justice, and that's all I want.
Her partner, Hamid Ali, has released a statement that he has not heard yet from the president. He hopes that the president would call, at least with condolences. Juliet Majid, thank you so much for your time this morning.